Judah Mintz declares for the 2024 NBA Draft and will not be back with Syracuse next season.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We've been waiting for the initial announcement, and we've got it. Judah Mintz, the star point guard from Syracuse, is declaring for the 2024 NBA Draft and will not maintain his college eligibility, which means he's not going to be back at Syracuse next season, and he's not going to be anywhere else either. He is not transferring. He is going directly into the NBA draft. We'll get to later on if he's actually going to be drafted, the odds that he is. We're also going to talk about replacing Judah Mintz and what Syracuse is missing from him, just reflections overall on Judah Mintz's career. This is Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer. Thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And thank you for bearing with me on this Thursday night. It's breaking news, and I just had to get one out for you guys. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Okay, so Judah Mintz, reflecting on his career overall, he came here as a high-end four-star recruit, and I talked about it with Sam Kaiser from 24/7 High School Hoops, who will be on tomorrow's podcast. That's still dropping at 9 a.m., about how Judah Mintz was ultimately deciding between Syracuse and DePaul as his final two schools, and ultimately went with the Orange. And he was part of that 2022 class. He was the crown jewel of it. And he, I think, lived up to the hype. He really did. He averaged 18 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds per game in 2 years. He shot 44% from the field, 29% from three, and 76% from the free throw line. So a solid career for Judah Mintz. He was the runner-up for ACC Rookie of the Year last season. And then this year, he takes that next step, sort of. Some people will disagree on that. I say he does. And was All ACC second team. And if it was positionless, I would have had Judah Mintz on the first team because I thought he was one of the 5 best players within the conference. So what were some of the good stuff about Judah Mintz? Well, he was the team's best player over the last 2 years. And his freshman season, maybe that wasn't expected from him to be that good right away. But I remember when he started that first game and thinking to myself, he's good. Like he was good right away. And in this past year, he was also, again, expected to be the team's best player. And he was the team's best player. He got to the free throw line at an insane clip. He was second team All ACC. He was remarkable at getting to the basket. That is what sets him apart from a lot of other college basketball players, specifically guards, is his ability to get to the rim, finish in contact, and also he would just get fouled a lot. So he would go to the free throw line, and he was a decent enough free throw shooter. He did go through the yips a little bit this past season, but ultimately over 75%. You'll take that. That's a pretty solid free throw percentage. This past year, he had 17 20-plus point games. 17 of them. And that is compared to just 9 in his freshman season. So he doubled up, basically, on 20-point games this year. And if you think that's significant, it is. Because when Syracuse, or when Judah Mintz scored at least 20 points in a game this past season, I've said this before when we'd rated Judah Mintz's year, Syracuse was 12-5 this season when Judah Mintz scored at least 20 points. And so now you can kind of do the math on what Syracuse's record was when he did not hit the 20-point plateau. And the answer is They were barely over 500. They were 8-7. So clearly this is a team that relied on him to score. And when he did score at least 20, they usually won. And when he didn't, they usually lost. Or not really usually lost. They only won about 50% of the time. So they're obviously going to miss his scoring. But another thing about Judah Mintz is he gets a bad rap a little bit for being a quote-unquote ball hog, which I have two rebuttals to that. A, who else do you want with the ball in their hands? Who else on the team last season could really create their own shot? JJ could. I guess Quadir could a little. That was about it. So I want Judah Mintz with the ball in his hands a lot. And number two, he was third in the ACC in assists per game. So he couldn't have been that much of a ball hog. That was the good stuff about Judah Mintz. But of course, we all know the bugaboo, which was his three-point shot. It actually went down this season compared to his freshman year. And remember, when he declared for the NBA draft last year, part of the reason why he was not someone who was going to get drafted that year is because he needed to work on his outside shot. If he could just develop a somewhat mediocre three-point shot, but show signs of improvement, then Judah Mintz probably enters this year as a lottery pick, or at least close to it, probably a first rounder. Maybe if he was a really good three-point shooter, he'd be a lottery pick. But if he's mediocre at the three-point line this year, he is probably a first rounder. But again, he was under 30% from the three-point line this past season. And he only had one game this year where he hit more than 2 threes, and that came early in the season against Cornell, where he hit 5 of them. So that's why ultimately when I gave my Judah Mintz grade for the season, I gave him a B+, because I thought he did improve. I thought he improved, but at the same time, he didn't do really that main thing that we all wanted him to do, which was take that next step from the free throw line. But nevertheless, Syracuse is, of course, going to miss Judah Mintz. We can't lie to ourselves and say it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. It's a big deal. You don't just find all conference players on trees. They don't grow on trees, guys. They don't. He was second team all conference. Not, second team defense, first team defense, runner-up, sixth man of the year, all that stuff. No. Out of the best players in the conference ranked, he was on the second team, which means at minimum he was top 10. And in my mind, again, as I said at the top, if there's no positions, I would have had him on the first team. I thought he was one of the 5 best players in the ACC this past season. So it's obviously not going to be easy to replace Judah Mintz. But having said that, Syracuse, of course, is going to have to, because this was expected. We had a feeling this was coming. It was leaked about a week ago, and then Judah Mintz wasn't too happy about it, but don't want to get too much into it. It's official now. So, how does Syracuse replace Judah Mintz? I was once trying to buy a last-minute ticket for a New York Mets game last year, and it was frustrating. I couldn't see the view from my seat, and the deals weren't that good at all. That's why I now use Gametime. Gametime is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. One game that I'm thinking about attending is Mets-Marlins down in Miami on May 19th, and I can get in for as little as $5. I went to the Gametime app, searched up Mets tickets, and the deal popped up right away. You can do the same with any team of your choosing, including the hometown Syracuse Mets of AAA baseball. That's right. It was so easy to find, guys. Syracuse is at home tomorrow, and you can get in for as little as $5. You get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKED, for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Had to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Welcome back, everyone, into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and Judah Mintz is officially declared for the 2024 NBA Draft. He is not going to be returning to college. Remember, if you hire an agent, you're no longer eligible for college eligibility. If you don't, you can pull back at a certain time and maintain that college eligibility. That's the difference between this year and last year with Judah Mintz. He's not going back to school. He's not going back to Syracuse. He's not going back anywhere. So now, how does Syracuse replace Judah Mintz? Again, not easy to replace someone who was second team All ACC. I don't know if Syracuse can find anyone in the transfer portal that can replace him one for one. I just don't think you can do that. I really don't. But I think you can kind of go 2 for 1 on this one. And I know people are going to say, well, what about Malik Mack? Well, again, teasing my podcast for tomorrow with Sam Kaiser at 24/7 High School Hoops. We talked about Malik Mack a little bit, and it doesn't seem like Syracuse is in the running anymore for him. It's his final 3 schools seem to be Texas, Georgetown, they still suck, and Virginia. So, as I said in the podcast tomorrow, we hope he goes to Texas because it's not Georgetown, they still suck, and Virginia is, of course, a conference rival, right? So, pray Malik Mack goes to Texas. So, Mack, we can assume, is probably not a replacement for Judah Mintz because he's probably going elsewhere. Where does Syracuse look in the transfer portal? Well, they got 2 options. I would like them to ideally get both, but if they can get one, I would be happy with that. The first one is pretty obvious. Dakota Leffew. Dakota Leffew is from Mount St. Mary's. Syracuse, of course, recently hired Dan Engelstad, the former head coach of Mount St. Mary's. Leffew is visiting Syracuse this weekend and has the Orange in his top 6 list of schools that he is considering, which I would hope because he's visiting campus. He's a 6'5" guard. He averaged last season 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists on 43% shooting from the field, 37% from the three-point line, and he was first team All-MAC. So, just because you're first team All-MAC doesn't mean you're going to be first team All ACC, but this is someone who is decorated, obviously. And, question that people might have is, can he translate his game to the ACC? And I get it. And I answered this earlier today on the podcast, which is that Dakota Leffew, against Power 6 competition, he played 4 teams this past year. He played Maryland, Georgetown. Again, they still suck. Ole Miss, and Georgia. And in those 4 games, he averaged 16 points per game. 16 points per game against those teams. So you can take that for what it's worth. But if that's what he's doing against Power 6 competition, I'm not saying he's going to average 16 points per game next year if he were to come to Syracuse, but I think we can have faith that he's going to be a solid player. Now, he is a little bit of a combo guard, which is why this next person that I'm going to list is maybe more of a fit to replace a point guard. And that is Jaquan Carlos from Hofstra. And I want to give maybe a little bit more from him. He is a Brooklyn, New York native. He is a 4-star transfer, 6-foot guard, and Syracuse has publicly expressed interest in Carlos. Last season, he averaged 10 points and 6 assists per game, and we've talked about it numerous times here on this podcast. He is one of the best passers currently in the transfer portal. He's almost the antithesis. I can't say that word. He is the polar opposite almost of Judah Mintz, right? Judah Mintz is more of someone who is going to create shots for himself, even though he was 3rd in the ACC in assists. He's going to create shots for himself, maybe not as much for others. Carlos is basically the opposite. He's going to look to set up his teammates more than just himself. And he's pretty efficient. I mean, he's not like the most efficient, but he's not bad. He was 41% from the field. He was 34% from the 34% from the 3-point line. And this is what's really important. 89% from the free throw line. That's Jaquan Carlos. So he's a reliable enough shooter. He's okay. Against Power 6 competition last year, he played against the Power 6 twice. The first game was against Duke. Pretty good team right there, obviously. And he had 10 points and 9 assists against Duke. And the other team that he played against was St. John's, where he scored 10 points again and had 4 assists. So solid numbers against two pretty good Power 6 teams last year. One, of course, was a top seed in the tournament, one of the top seeds in St. John's, who narrowly missed it. And final thing with Jaquan Carlos is that he was an all-defensive player in his conference. So you're getting someone who can defend, you're getting someone who can pass, and you're getting someone who is decent enough at shooting and scoring. Out of those two, I would definitely prefer Dakota Leffew. They're both 4-star transfers, but I would prefer Leffew. Having said that, if Syracuse can somehow land both of these guys and say that, Dakota Leffew and Jaquan Carlos instead of Judah Mintz, and Quadir Copeland for that matter, I think that's a relatively even trade. I would probably lean slightly more towards Mintz and Copeland over those two, but it's relatively even if you were to land both. Those are the two options that I have regarding replacing Judah Mintz. Now, having said that, we've talked a lot about, reflecting on Judah Mintz's career at Syracuse. I graded him a few weeks ago on what he did this past season, gave him a B+ in that episode. Talked about, replacements for Judah Mintz, Dakota Leffew from Mount St. Mary's. You could put the connection together and how he's visiting campus this weekend. And Jaquan Carlos from Hofstra. Again, not far from the Syracuse campus. Syracuse has publicly reached out to him. But now I think a lot of people are curious as to, Judah Mintz is declaring for the NBA draft. Will he get drafted? It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. One bet that I'm looking at as a New York Mets fan is Mets -120 at home tomorrow night against the Kansas City Royals. And this is because the Mets, they just took 2 out of 3 against the Braves. And suddenly now, maybe this is kind of foolish on my part, I have a little bit of hope that they're going to be good this year. So that's where I'm looking at right now in FanDuel with baseball season currently in full swing. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Welcome back, everyone, into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and we're going over Judah Mintz declaring for the 2024 NBA draft. He will not be back with Syracuse next season, and he is not transferring either. He is going directly to pro basketball. We went over earlier in this episode what was good about Judah Mintz, what was maybe not so good about Judah Mintz. Then we talked about how Syracuse could possibly replace him. 2 names come to mind, which is Dakota Leffew from Mount St. Mary's. Of course, He is visiting campus this weekend. And Jaquan Carlos from Hofstra, who is basically the polar opposite of Judah Mintz, but still a very solid player. Both those guys are 4-star transfers currently. And now let's go over some NBA mock drafts. Where is Judah Mintz projected to be drafted? Is he projected to be drafted? I'm going to give you the overarching takeaway here. As of this recording, which is on April 11th, he's probably not getting drafted. Probably not. I scoured the internet trying to find mock drafts, any mock drafts I could. It was hard to find Judah Mintz's name. So let's go over them. This one was on April 9th from Jonathan Wasserman at Bleacher Report. I'm going to be crediting all these people that wrote these mock drafts. He did not have Mintz drafted. Mintz went undrafted in that. It was a 2-round mock draft, which, by the way, I will clarify right now, unless I say it is only 1 round, assume that I'm talking about 2 rounds here. This one from Kristen Peak at Yahoo Sports. She released one on April 9th. Mintz was undrafted. The Ringer's latest version from Kevin O'Connor did not have Mintz drafted. Tankathon, which updates all the time. You can run simulators there as well if you have a team that's currently in the lottery. I know it's fun for people. Judah Mintz, not drafted. SI.com on April 9th. Judah Mintz, not drafted. CBS Sports, Kyle Boone wrote this one. He did a single-round mock draft on April 8th. Mintz was not drafted in the single-round mock draft. And finally, Jeff Zilgit, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, from USA Today. He also did a single-round mock draft, this one on April 10th. So at the time of this recording, it was yesterday. Judah Mintz, not drafted. In fact, I had to go back a little bit further to find a mock draft where Judah Mintz was actually projected to be picked. And it was actually by Jonathan Wasserman, the same one who wrote one on April 9th saying that Mintz wouldn't be drafted. He wrote one back in March, and he had Mintz at 52nd overall. And I'm going to paraphrase what he said. He said that Mintz is effective at attacking the basket, which we went over, and that can help make up for his poor outside shooting. So what's the overarching takeaway here? Judah Mintz, as of April 11th, as of this recording, which is in the evening, probably not going to hear his name called come the NBA draft. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have pro potential, and that doesn't mean, by the way, that he won't be drafted, right? This is still early in the process. He can show out at the combine. Maybe prove that he can prove that he can improve his three-point shooting there. Obviously, he does have the size. He does have the athleticism to be an NBA player. But regardless, he's definitely a pro basketball player. I don't think anyone would deny that. So it could be one of those things where Judah Mintz perhaps will land on his feet with a 2-way deal at some sort of team, which a 2-way deal in the NBA means you're going to go up and down from the NBA and the G League. So that could be how he handles next season. Of course, a couple of Syracuse players that I know of off the top of my head are on 2-way deals or were on 2-way deals. Buddy Boeheim, Cole Swider, those guys went up and down the G League and the NBA. So if those guys can go up and down, I think Judah Mintz can too. I think he will be playing NBA basketball at some point in the near future. I just don't know if he's going to be drafted, given that I listed all these mock drafts. I looked it up. I barely can find Judah Mintz's name. I only found one from March. If we obviously go back to, before last season, you'll find him a lot higher, but because he didn't improve the three-point shooting, you get the idea. That's where Judah Mintz stands currently in his NBA draft prospects. Again, I could be wrong, but I don't think he will be drafted just based on what early mock drafts are saying about him. Of course, Judah Mintz is making the decision that is best for himself. So I'm not here to judge him. I'm not here to judge. He's making the decision that he thinks is best for himself. Obviously, he has aspirations to be an NBA player. That's been his dream. So I wish him nothing but the best. I hope Judah Mintz has a successful pro basketball career, whether that's in the NBA, in the G League, overseas, whatever it is. I wish him nothing but the best. Best of luck to Judah Mintz. So long. And now, just want to say thank you, everyone, for bearing with me. Of course, breaking news here with Judah Mintz declaring for the NBA draft here on this Thursday night. Tomorrow's podcast with 24/7 High School Hoops will still be dropping at 9 a.m. tomorrow. So we're going to have dueling podcasts. We'll see how that does. And don't forget, Poll Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern Time. Lots of content here on Cuse-land, and we'll see if anything else happens with Jair Davis and Dakota Leffew on campus. Locked On Syracuse is on standby here. Let's just put it that way. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Turn on those notifications so you know right away when I'm dropping the next podcast. As I said on this morning's episode, you never quite know when I'm going to drop one now, even though it's standard at 9 a.m. Judah Mintz, of course, declares for the NBA draft. There's going to be another episode, so you're going to want to turn on those notifications. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, everyone.